Hi everyone, welcome back to Language Lab, the podcast where we explore language teaching in innovative ways. I'm Nadia, your host, and today's episode is all about a powerful teaching method, the lexical approach. I'm joined by two amazing classmates and fellow future English teacher, Hania and Karen. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Nadia. I'm excited to talk about this approach because it goes beyond grammar rules and gets us closer to how people actually use language.
Hi everyone, the lexical approach really changed the way we understand vocabulary. It's not about isolated words, but about patterns and expressions that help learners sound more fluent.
Let's begin with the theory. The lexical approach was developed by Michael Lewis in the early 1990s. His main idea is that language consists of grammaticalized lexis, not lexicalized grammar.
Yes, that means that vocabulary, or lexis, is central. Instead of building lessons around grammar points, we build them around lexical chunks, collocation, idioms, fixed phrases, sentence starters, and so on.
Exactly. Think of expression like would you mind if I? It's up to you. Or let me get this straight. These aren't just vocabulary, they're building blocks of fluent communication.
And learners often struggle not because they lack grammar, but because they don't know what expressions are typically used. The lexical approach exposes them to these common chunks and encourages them to notice and reuse them.
Michael Lewis also introduced the idea of noticing. That's when learners become consciously aware of language patterns in context, like when they see the same phrases appear in different contexts and realize, oh, that's how you ask for permission.
A great classroom example is using concordance lines from a corpus showing real-life uses of phrase like at the same time in multiple authentic sentences. This helps students discover patterns by themselves.
Another key principle is that grammar emerges from lexis. Learners internalize grammar by hearing and using lexical chunks over and over, not by memorizing rules.
Right, and this helps with fluency when learners can retrieve full expression quickly. They don't have to build sentences word by word. They speak more naturally.
Plus, this approach is comparable with communicative and task-based learning. You can use role-based dialogues and projects that encourage the use of real-world language.
In materials like movies, songs lyrics, and podcasts are good minds for lexical chunks. They show how native speakers really speak, not textbooks English.
Even using lexical notebooks is helpful. Students can group expression by topic or function, like way to agree, ask for opinions, or express doubt.
One of the challenges thought is that it requires more input. Learners need to be exposed to large amounts of real English to pick up chunks naturally.
True, but that's why teacher scaffolding is essential. Highlighting phrases, modeling pronunciation, and giving learners chances to practice in context. So let's summarize. The lexical approach teach vocabulary not as individual words, but as meaningful chunks of language. It boosts fluency, supports real communication, and reflects how people actually learn to speak.
And it encourages noticing authentic input and repetition in context, making learning more engaging and effective.
Thanks for joining us on Languages Lab. We hope this helps you rethink vocabulary teaching and inspires you to try the lexical approach in your own classroom.
See you next time, and remember, fluency starts with chunks.